Good evening and welcome to the July 28th meeting of the Livermore City Council. I call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Barrientos.
Present.
Councilmember Dunbar.
Here.
Councilmember Wong. Here. Vice Mayor Browning.
Here.
Mayor Marchand.
Here. If you'll please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag. Thank you. I guess at this point, I can say that there was no action taken in the closed session, just to be perfectly legit there. Moving on, there's no proclamations and presentations. The city clerk will explain how to participate in the open forum.
Thank you, Mayor. The City Council's agenda provides opportunities for the public to participate in the meeting by addressing the City Council in the following ways. For non-agendized items, the public has the opportunity during open forum to address the City Council on any item that is within the City Council's subject matter jurisdiction. For agendized items, the public can address the City Council on each item of business it considers when the mayor opens public comment and should be focused on that particular item. Please note, a speaker is not required to answer questions from the City Council, and the City Council is not required to answer questions from the public. However, the mayor has the discretion to ask staff to address the speaker's comments when a council member believes it is relevant to a particular business item. When participating in tonight's meeting, one comment may be given per person per item. For consent calendar items, one comment may be given for all items on the consent calendar. If consent calendar items are pulled for discussion by the City Council, a speaker will be allowed one comment for each item pulled for discussion and separate comment for the remaining consent calendar. To provide comment, please fill out and turn in a speaker card found at the entrance of the council chamber. Speakers will be announced in order received. Once public comment opens, each participant's name will be announced and their 3 minutes will begin once at the lectern. The mayor will announce the conclusion of public comment period after comments have been voiced into the record. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, do we have any public comment?
Yes, sir, we do. Cy Mateen.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Honorable Council members. My name is Cy Mateen, and as I indicated before, I'm from Iran. Iran has philosophers, and one of them, which is very famous in the whole world, his name is Saadi Shiraz. He was born in 1210. The date in Google didn't know. So
If you could pull the mic just a little bit closer to your mouth.
Yes. And
Just pull it a little bit farther.
Yes.
Just pull it down a little bit.
okay.
There we go.
Okay. So
Uh,
he was
there-
born in Shiraz, Iran. Shiraz is a city in the center of Iran. And he has a poem which I'm going to read in Farsi first, and then we'll translate. And then it says, Bani Adam a'zai yekdirand, dar آفرینش یک گوهرند. چه عضوی به درد آورد روزگار، دیگر عضوها را نماند قرار. توش از مهنت دیگران بیغمی، نشاید که نامد نهند آدمی. This poem is translated in English and says the human races are the parts of the same body, considers the whole human as a one body, and then if one part of the body means one race goes to pain, the whole body will go to pain. If you are not sensitive to the pain and suffering of others, your name should not be called human. This poem is translated in the Wall of United Nations in New York. And then he has another poem. He has two books in poems called Gulistan and Bustan. But the second poem over here he's talking about basically the kindness that we have to be. And he talks about the creativity, that when God created us, he didn't sign a contract with us that how long we're going to live. So for every minute that we are living, when we are inhaling, we are extending our life. When we are exhaling, we are also improving our lives. So we should be thankful for every breath we take. And this kindness and happiness is really essential to human life, because if we are thankful, we are happy, and happiness brings the health. So it's very, very important. He is one of the famous philosophers of Iran, and there's few others which in the next meetings, I will bring some more. My famous one is Rumi, which is Molavi, and you probably have heard about him. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Si.
That concludes open forum.
Okay, with that, I'm going to close the public comment period and the open forum and bring it back to the council to the consent calendar. These are typically items that are routine in nature and are passed with a single motion. However, do we have any speakers that wish to speak on the closed session, on the, yes, the consent calendar?
Yes, Mayor, we do. Brian Bertosa.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Brian Bertosa. I represent Schrader and Brandt on item 5.8 regarding the Springtown Community Golf Course project. I'm requesting that this item 5.8 be pulled from the consent calendar for discussion. Schrader and Brandt was the apparent low bidder with a bid of $5,386,000. The next low bidder, Great Tech's bid, was $287,000 higher. Great Tech filed a protest to which Schrader responded. It's my understanding that staff and council received and have considered Schrader's June 26th response to the bid protest. In its June 30 letter, the city identified 2 bidding deviations on which the city deemed Schrader's bid non-responsive. I'd like to speak to both. The first was that Schrader's bid was signed by 1 corporate officer and the instructions called for signature by 2. The second issue is Schrader's bid did not initially include subcontractor percentage of work information called for in the instructions. Both of these deviations are waivable and neither justify spending an additional $287,000 on the second low bid. California courts have held that the rule that requires strict compliance with bidding requirements does not preclude the awarding body from waiving inconsequential deviations. The deviations here are both waivable and inconsequential. Schrader's bid proposal was signed by its president, Seward Schrader. The lack of a second signature is a waivable deviation, which had no impact on the amount of Schrader's bid, no impact on any other bidder. No other bidder decided whether to bid or how much to bid based on how many officers of Schrader Construction signed, Schrader and Brandt signed Schrader's bid. There was no advantage gained. The second issue is regarding Schrader's initial failure to include the percentage of work to be performed by each subcontractor. The purpose of this requirement is to identify that the prime contractor, in this case Schrader and Brandt, meets the requirement that the contractor self-perform at least 30% of the work. In other words, by viewing the total subcontractor percentage, you can identify that the remaining percentage exceeds 30%. But this can be done in reverse by looking at the amount of work identified as not being given to a listed subcontractor. That work will be performed by the prime. So the lack of the subcontractor totals does not defeat the purpose of the requirement or Schrader's compliance. So the other bidders were not successful because their bids were higher, not because of inconsequential and waivable deviations by Schrader. No advantage was gained, no other bidder was affected, and it is within the council's ability to have these deviations waived and to save the taxpayers of Livermore $287,000 by proceeding with Schrader. Thank you.
The next speaker is Carl Wente.
Mr. Mayor and Council, just thank you all for what you do. Again, those who serve, we salute you. Of the people, by the people, for the people. Happens when the people show up. Those who put on a bulletproof vest to go to work, we salute you, the first responders. Thank you for what you do. And this is on the consent calendar. I tried to go as a whole, had to have a specific item. Mr. Alcala, I will stay on point. I want to thank the staff of Livermore for the abundance of work that goes into just that one packet. Right, the detail on the sewer, the detail on the values, norms, all of that, just important stuff all the way through. I don't want to say that the sewer design is as important as the norms and rules and the likes, but just the volume of work that goes into it and the import of every document, every word and everything that goes through. So anybody on the city staff that's in the room tonight, I salute you. Mr. Mayor, thank you for what you do. All the council, keep on doing a great job listening to our community, our diverse, awesome community. Thank you.
That concludes public comment.
Okay, in that case, I'm going to close the public comment period, to bring it back to the council. Is there anything that anybody on the council would wish to pull for comment?
I'll pull 5.8 for discussion. Yeah.
5.8. Okay, and I will also, I've got a few comments to it. We don't necessarily need to pull it, but I have a few comments on 5.16. Okay, so 5.18.
Oh. Well, I'd like to hear what the, $250,000 is kind of nice to have extra. I want to know, can you explain more what happened in that whole situation, please?
So were there issues that were considered inconsequential, or are they not inconsequential?
So, Mr. Mayor, this is your city attorney, Jay Snockalla. I can start the conversation here today. When you award a public contract pursuant to the Public Contract Code, everything over $5,000 has to be awarded to the lowest bidder. In order to make that determination, the city has to make two determinations. One, is the bid responsible? And two, is it responsive to the bid requirements? As we go forward in this particular situation, when the bids were open, the bid provided by Schrader was the apparent low bidder. It looked like on the surface because they had the lowest number. The next day, those were open on June 19th. On June 20th, the city staff members and engineering then review the various bids in detail. They go through there where they complete, was their math correct? They provide all the information in detail so they don't get an unfair advantage over everyone else who did follow the rules. In this situation, staff identified several defects with Schrader's bid. Failure to list contractors. Their math was off. They did provide contractors, but later. There's a period of time within which to correct that. They did not correct that within that time period. Staff made the determination that their bid was non-responsive, and they also made the determination that the errors were not inconsequential. And they did create a disadvantage for future, and that's set by statute, what can be determined to be inconsequential. So that right now, there's nothing that impedes the city council from awarding the bid to Crane Tech. That's what you heard from the gentleman who spoke at the lectern. He's asking for you to exercise your discretion, which the law does allow in certain situations when it's not inconsequential. However, staff's determined that it was, the errors were not inconsequential, therefore their bid was not eligible for consideration. I don't know if, Paul, you have anything else to add? I think that covers it.
And this is whether a bid is responsive or not. That is a staff decision. That's not a decision that typically comes to council. Is that correct?
That is correct. That is usually a staff level decision when it comes to whether a bid is responsive. The question of responsibility, if someone goes through, if they submit a responsive bid, check all the boxes, fill in all the spaces, do their math correctly, provide all the information that the bid requires. And when the staff then subsequently follows up on their references and determines, despite being the low bidder and following a responsive bid, they still can't perform, or you have questions about that, that's a question of responsibility that is made by the city council. This is not that question. This is not that decision. This is whether the bid was responsive, which is an administrative decision.
Okay, so it is administrative. All right, thank you. Other questions, comments? Okay. Just a couple of points on 5.16. And that's on 6.1, page 706, where it says all of the powers and duties for the mayor. I would suggest including or adding including regional board and commission meeting assignments. And on 12.3.3, after not to a particular member, this is speaking of the people addressing the council, not to a particular member, I would suggest adding or to the audience. So the statement is for speakers will address the members of the council and not a specific member or members of the audience. That's all I've got.
Sorry, what was the number on the first one?
Oh, it was 6.1, page 706. Where it's talking about the vice mayor will take over that's why you're interested. So yeah, so all the powers and duties, including regional board and commission assignments. So that if the mayor cannot attend these things, then that falls to the vice mayor. And this is What comes with duties and responsibilities.
Makes sense. Just wanted
Yeah.
to make sure I knew where it was fitting.
Sure. Okay, with that, I'd entertain a motion on the consent calendar.
I'll move approval of the consent calendar as recommended by staff and with your recommendations for the changes to 5.16.
Okay, is there a second? A second by Councilmember Barrientos. I'll start out right now. I will abstain on 5.8. So if the record could reflect that, I will not be voting on 5.8, but I will vote on the rest of the consent calendar. So with that, all in favor of the consent calendar signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any any opposition? Abstentions? Passed unanimously. Again, I abstain on 5.8. Thank you. Okay, moving on to public hearings. We have the first public hearing is 6.1, hearing to place delinquent sewer accounts on the property tax roll.
Honorable Mayor Marchand and members of the City Council, this is your City Manager, Mariana Birch. Your first public hearing tonight, 6.1, is going to be presented by Ann Furtado, Accounting Supervisor in the Administrative Services Department. Thank you.
It's in there somewhere.
Thank you for your patience, Mayor and council members.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council members. My name is Ann Furtado, and I'm an accounting supervisor in the Finance Division. The City of Livermore provides wastewater services to the community that protects public health and the environment. These services include collection, treatment, and disposal of wastewater. Funding the cost of providing wastewater service relies solely on payment of sewer service bills. Any balance not paid 30 days after the billing date is considered delinquent. The 1,100,000 sewer accounts referred on the slide are the ones that we bill monthly, and they're primarily commercial accounts. Residential sewer services are collected on the property tax roll. Exhibit A contains a list of sewer accounts that are severely delinquent or at least 90 days past due. Since the meeting agenda was published, some of these accounts have been paid. The updated number of accounts is 12, and the total balance is approximately $14,000. Finance staff will continue to monitor this list up to the date the list is sent to Alameda County in early August and remove any accounts that have been paid. In addition to sending out monthly bills that include past due balances, finance staff also contacted customers on the list to bring their attention to the delinquent amounts. Per Livermore Municipal Code, Chapter 13, the city may enforce payment of delinquent sewer charges by placing them on the property tax roll. Staff sent letters to affected property owners notifying them of the city's intent and of tonight's public hearing. Staff recommends that City Council consider protests, adopt a resolution overruling protests, and direct staff to forward a finalized copy of the assessment list to the county tax assessor. Thank you, and I'm available for any questions you may have.
Thank you. Do we have any public comments?
No public comments been
Okay,
received.
I'm going to close the public comment period and bring it back to the council. Questions or comments from the council? Do I hear a motion?
I'll move staff recommendations.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Councilmember Wong, motion made by Vice Mayor Branning, second by Councilmember Wong. Any discussion on the motion?
Just for those of you on the rolls, there's still a few days left to get your payments in, so as quick as possible. check your addresses and make sure to make the payments.
Yeah, okay, in that case, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? It passes unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to public hearing number 2, 6.2, hearing to adopt the fiscal year sewer service and use charges report. Welcome to the City of Livermore public hearing on the collection of residential wastewater service charges on the County of Alameda tax roll and adoption of the written report identifying the affected parcels and fees for the upcoming tax year. The purpose of the public hearing is for the City Council to hear and consider all oral and written protests and comments concerning the collection of the residential wastewater charges on the tax roll. If protests against the collection of the residential wastewater charges on the tax roll are presented by a majority of the parcels upon which the charges are to be collected, the city may not collect the rates on the tax roll. In determining whether a majority protest exists, only one protest per parcel may be counted. There must be at least 13,606 protests to reach a majority. Staff presentation.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, this is once again your City Manager, Mariana Birch. 6.2 is going to be presented by Ann Furtado as well, Accounting Supervisor at the Administrative Services Department. Thank you. And thank you again for your patience.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council members. My name is Ann Furtado, and I'm an accounting supervisor in the Finance Division. The City of Livermore provides wastewater service to the community that includes collection, treatment, and disposal of wastewater. Commercial accounts are billed monthly, and residential sewer charges are collected on the property tax roll. Sewer rates for fiscal year 2025-26 were approved by City Council on June 9th. The purpose of this public hearing is to fulfill a California Health and Safety Code requirement when sewer charges are collected on the property tax roll. Per this requirement, a public hearing must be conducted on a report that contains a description and the amount of the sewer charge for each parcel. This written report was filed with the city clerk on July 3rd and is also included as Exhibit A. The total number of parcels included in this report is 27,211. And the total fiscal year 25-26 residential sewer revenue to be collected on the property tax roll is approximately $27 million. Staff recommends that the City Council consider protest, find that protest was not made by a majority, adopt the residential sewer charge report, and authorize collection of the charges on the property tax roll. Thank you, and I'm available for questions.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, we will now open the noticed public hearing to consider whether to collect the residential wastewater charges on the County of Alameda tax roll and adopt the written report identifying the affected parcels and fees for the upcoming tax year. If you have a written protest that you want to submit, please bring it to the front where the speaker slips are submitted. If you wish to register an oral protest as part of your comments, please state your name and address for the record as part of your public comment. Both oral and written protests will be accepted. The public hearing is now open. We will now hear from anyone who wishes to speak. Madam City Clerk, is there anyone who wishes to speak?
No, Mayor, there's no public comment on this.
Okay, seeing no others who wish to speak, I'm prepared to close the public hearing. Once the public hearing is closed, the city clerk will no longer accept any protests on the collection of the residential wastewater charges on the tax roll. Are there any remaining protests to be delivered to the city clerk? Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. At this time, I would like to ask the city clerk if a majority protest exists, or if we need to take a break to tabulate the results for all protests submitted prior to the close of the public hearing.
Thank you, Mayor. 13,606 protests would represent 50% plus one of the parcels subject to the collection of the adopted residential wastewater charges on the tax roll. The city clerk's office did not receive any protests, and therefore there is not a majority protest.
13,606, and we received no protests. I think we're doing a great job. That shows that that we're delivering, I can't really say we're delivering a product that people like, but we're providing a service that is obviously very much needed. And this is a public health and safety issue, and certainly appreciate the tremendous job that our staff is doing. And thank you very much for putting all this together. So with that, we've closed the public hearing, and they have a majority protest does not exist. And therefore, the council may now proceed to consider the collection of the wastewater residential charges on the tax roll. Are there any council comments? Seeing none, I will accept a motion.
I'll move.
Okay, Councilmember Barrientos makes the motion,
I'll second.
seconded by Councilmember Dunbar for the staff recommendation. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? It passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, this is a hearing to consider a request for the second amendment to the development agreement 18001.
Honorable Mayor Marchand and members of the City Council, this is once again your City Manager, Mariana Birch. Item 6.3, your last public hearing tonight is going to be presented by Emily Ledoux, Assistant Planner, with the assistance from Andy Ross, Principal Planner in the Community Development Department. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Marchand and members of the City Council. Tonight, I'll be presenting the second amendment to the development agreement for the Lassen Townhome project. To provide a brief background, Council approved the Lassen Townhome project in 2020, and it is located at the end of Lassen Road off of Springtown Boulevard, north of I-580 in Springtown. The project consists of 186 townhome units, 14 of which are affordable, in addition to in lieu affordable housing fees. The project also included a planned development amendment to secure 23 acres of open space through a conservation easement. The project involved a suite of entitlements, including a development agreement to secure off-site improvements, including Springtown Sewer Project, the Arroyo Las Positas Trail, and the Springtown Boulevard median improvements. Per the 2020 development agreement, the applicant is responsible for land acquisition, improvement design, regulatory permitting, and construction of the off-site improvements. Here's a closer look at the off-site improvements. The sewer replacement, which includes a new corrosion-resistant pipe and relocation away from the arroyo, is shown to the west of the site in the dotted yellow line. The Class 1A off-street trail connects Lassen and Redwood Roads to provide an I-580 crossing at the Las Colinas overpass for pedestrians and bicyclists, as shown in green. And the median improvements, including concrete removal and street tree planting, are shown to the east of the site within the Springtown Boulevard in blue. The development agreement currently includes a clause requiring the applicant to acquire the necessary right-of-way to construct the trail and the sewer projects prior to post-entitlement approval. According to the developer, they're unable to negotiate the necessary right-of-way with the adjacent property owner, and therefore the townhome project is unable to move forward. The development agreement anticipated challenges in land acquisition and includes a provision that allows the applicant to request that the city acquire the easement for improvements in the event that the applicant is unable to do so. Staff has been able to negotiate preliminary terms to acquire the necessary right-of-way needed to facilitate the improvements directly from the adjacent property owner. So the developer has requested an amendment to the DA, removing the acquisition obligation to reflect these circumstances. Due to the time lapse and the increasing administrative costs associated with the delivery of the off-site improvements, staff recommends amending the development agreement to complete the public improvements in a timely and cost-effective manner, which would also allow the developer to move forward with the townhomes. The amendments would relieve the developer of the acquisition obligations. The developer would design and permit the sewer project, and the developer would design, permit, and pay the full cost of the trail construction. On June 17th, 2025, the Planning Commission unanimously recommended the City Council approval of this amendment. Planning Commission and staff recommends that the City Council find that the environmental impacts of the Second Amendment are within the scope of the previous environmental documents, direct the planning manager to file a notice of determination in accordance with SEQA, subject to the amendment approval, and introduce an ordinance and waive the first reading, amending the development agreement 18-001. This concludes staff presentation, and we are available for questions.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any public comment on this?
No public comments been received.
Okay, with that, I'm going to close the public comment period and the public hearing and bring it back to the council. Does the council have any questions or comments? Councilmember Dunbar.
Having seen this at the planning commission many years ago, thank staff for all the work that's gone into this. I know it's been a long haul and there's been a lot of permitting and things that have gone into it, but it's a critical connection to get into Springtown in a safe manner. So keep up the good work. Thank you.
Is that a motion?
That is a motion of staff recommendation if
Okay.
you would like.
Very good. Thank you very much. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, seconded by Vice Mayor Branning. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? It passed unanimously. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to matters for consideration. Item 7.1. This is a resolution ratifying, reaffirming, and readopting the amended and restated disposition development and loan agreement with Eden Housing.
Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council, this is once again your city manager, and item 7.1 is going to be presented by Shannon Pagan, Assistant Planner in the Community Development Department, with the assistance from Steve Riley. Thank you.
This sounds familiar.
Yes, yes, sir.
Thank you for that introduction, and good evening, Mayor Marchand and members of the City Council. The item for your consideration this evening is the amended and restated disposition, development, and loan agreement with Eden Housing. This agreement is a contract between the city and Eden Housing outlining the provisions and terms for the transfer of public land and development of a 130-unit, 100% affordable housing community located downtown at Railroad Avenue and South L Street. This agreement was first approved by the City Council in 2018. It's been amended twice, first in 2021 to clarify terms and conditions of the property transfer, and it also included the option to negotiate the future construction of Veterans Park. A second amendment, referred to as the amended and restated agreement, was approved by City Council in May of 2022. It included targeted changes to facilitate project implementation and accommodate the impacts of litigation against the project. The 2022 agreement also included ancillary language approving the construction of and improvements to Veterans Park. Council's approval of the 2022 agreement was challenged by the Move Eden Housing Group, and a petition for a referendum was filed. Legal challenges ensued, and it was determined that by the appellate court in March of 2024 that the Veterans Park component of the agreement was a legislative act subject to referendum. The appellate court also ruled that all the other terms and conditions of the 2022 agreement, the housing provisions, were not legislative acts and not subject to the referendum. Following the 2024 appellate court ruling, the City Council accepted certification of the referendum and repealed the resolution adopting the 2022 amended and restated agreement. At the same time, the City Council adopted a companion resolution to ratify, reaffirm, and readopt the 2022 agreement, excluding the construction of and improvements to Veterans Park consistent with the appellate court's decision. Council's adoption of the companion resolution was again challenged by the Move Eden Housing Group. The trial court held that the companion resolution was substantially similar to the repealed resolution and premature under State Elections Code 9241, which mandates a one-year waiting period before a city may readopt an action that was repealed by a referendum. The one-year waiting period has now expired, allowing the council to consider retaking action on the item in full compliance with the election code. In review, the item before you tonight is the 2022 amended and restated agreement excluding all provisions related to Veterans Park, consistent with the March 2024 appellate court ruling. This is the same agreement that was approved by the City Council in last June. The council can reconsider action on the agreement as the 1-year waiting period required by the Elections Code has expired. And should the City Council choose to approve the agreement tonight, it would enable Eden Housing to move forward to secure final construction financing to implement the 100% affordable housing project. With that, staff recommends the City Council adopt a resolution to ratify, reaffirm, and readopt the 2022 amended and restated agreement, excluding all provisions related to Veterans Park, and direct the planning manager to file a notice of exemption in accordance with the California Environmental Quality Act. That concludes staff's presentation, and we are available for questions.
Thank you very much. Is there any public comment?
Yes, sir, there is. The first speaker is Tom Ramos, followed by Thomas Souls, followed by Trish Monroe.
Thank you. Honorable Mayor, City Council. I'm here to speak about the, once again, before the council on the building of the Eden Housing in downtown. Now, at least a year ago, I collected hundreds of autographs from Livermore citizens. And when I explained to them that we were asking for a new vote for the citizens of the city to vote whether or not they wanted an apartment complex in downtown Livermore, I can tell you from personal experience that at least 2 to 3, if not 3 to 4 citizens I approached were passionate to sign that petition to have them vote again because they were not in favor of having a 4-story apartment house in downtown Livermore. And we stopped. I only stopped after we got 8,000 signatures, which was what was required. I simply ask you to, as we go through this again, you've since thrown away the 8,000 signatures and disregarded it to an extent. I ask you to not do that. Listen to your own citizens as you've sworn to do. And let's have a plebiscite. And do we really want a 4-story? What the people want is shopping and open space in their downtown area. They don't need a 4-story place. There's other places we can put it. Anybody driving around Livermore can see plenty of places where we have low-income housing, which is no one's objecting. And in fact, I believe Livermore leads the Tri-Valley area in the amount of low-income housing that we have. So no, we're not against low-income housing. We just want a nice open shopping area in our downtown area. So thank you.
The next speaker is Thomas Souls, followed by Trish Monroe, followed by Vasco Yorgov.
Hi, Honorable Mayor and City Council. I recognize all of you. And it's of course no secret that I also wanted Eden Housing to be put someplace else. The reason, I have only one motivation, and that is I want a beautiful downtown in Livermore. There's no other motivation, and that is the last open parcel that we have available. I know it's an old topic. We heard that from the staff, all the history. Tom Evans pointed out also the attempt to get a referendum. So that's my only motivation. And I may make one more comment that I was just in China for about three weeks. I'm kind of exhausted, but I will tell you that all the towns I visited had a beautiful downtown. They either had a park or maybe they had a renovated ancient Chinese city. In one case, a river ran through downtown. So what did they do? They moved all the housing back so that there would be a park along the river and a trail. There's no reason that Livermore can't be every bit as beautiful. And I think the right way to do it would be to put Eden Housing in a different location. Thank you very much.
The next speaker is Trish Monroe, followed by Vasco Yorgov, followed by Sherry Souza.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, staff. Here we are again. I'll be really short and then I'll be longer. The short version is, please vote for this. I really hope it can be unanimous. The longer version is that I got to be part of the first part of this rerun and rerun and rerun. And I'm going to say a couple things that I said when I was sitting over there. One of them is that if you own a house and if you have no mortgage on that house, which I know is true for many of the people who would like not to have Eden housing, then you are rich. And if you are keeping other people from having housing, then I really have no words. So that's one thing. The second thing is that I am looking at a council that 2 members at least were elected this past year, soundly defeating candidates who wanted that open space. Therefore, if we're talking about what the residents of Livermore want, I believe what they want is what was promised back in 2018, which is a space that includes a park, that includes retail, that includes housing, that includes the arts, that includes the sciences, and most importantly, that park was made possible by the Stockmen, who explicitly say that they want inclusion for everyone. So we're here again. I urge you to do, oh, and one more thing, which is the other thing I kept hearing from people was, what's your rush? And I'll tell you at this point what the rush is. I know you know this, but I'm going to say it for the public record anyway. The rush is that in the process of waiting, we've had COVID, we've had delays, we've had inflation, and we've had people waiting for housing. So anytime anyone says, what's the rush? The answer is, you are wasting people's time and money, and it's public time, it's public money, and it's private citizens who cannot get housing because you're standing in their way. Obviously, I'm not talking to you on the council. As I said, I might be talking to some people behind me. Thank you. I know you guys are going to do the right thing. Thank you very much for your service.
The next speaker is Vasco Yorgov, followed by Sherry Souza, followed by Julie.
Mayor, Council, my name is Vasco Yorgov, and I'm here speaking on behalf of Eden Housing. It's been 7 years since Eden was selected as the developer for the downtown Livermore apartments in 2018. There continues to be a huge need for more affordable housing to support Livermore's workforce. It's time to build 130 homes for Livermore's families and workers. We appreciate the partnership and perseverance that the City of Livermore has provided to Eden and your continued commitment to those who need housing in this community. We also appreciate the continued support of the Livermore public, who have submitted 21 letters of support and e-comments today. I also want to remind Council that last June, 24 people spoke in favor of the project and 54 letters of support were submitted. As you know, if it wasn't for the years of delay caused by unnecessary lawsuits, this project would have been completed and open in 2023. In fact, we were forced to return a highly competitive tax credit financing award that will take time and effort to secure again. Sadly, while the project has been stuck in court, the need for affordable housing has only grown more acute. Earlier this year, we saw evidence of this at a community Eden Open in Alameda County, where we received 6,700 applications for 72 units of affordable housing. 6,700. We are grateful that this project can finally move forward, and we strongly urge Council to follow staff's recommendation and adopt a resolution ratifying, reaffirming, and readopting the amended and restated DDLA with Eden Housing, excluding the construction of Veterans Park. Again, we appreciate your support and partnership, and we would be more than happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
The next speaker is Sherry Souza, followed by Julie, followed by Carol Silva.
Good evening, Mayor, Council members, and city staff. My name is Sherry Souza. I am representing the Livermore Valley Chamber of Commerce. And I'm here tonight to urge you to adopt a resolution ratifying, reaffirming, and readopting the amended and restate disposition development and loan agreement with Eden Housing, allowing for the construction of 130 units of affordable housing in the heart of Livermore. As supporters of affordable housing for our workforce here in Livermore, we urge you to move forward with this housing development that will provide additional housing options for our workers. The Chamber of Commerce has been supportive of this development from the beginning of the planning sessions that were offered to the community. One of the things that cripples our economic development is a deficit of housing that can be obtained for the workers and prospective workers of our city. We are disappointed in the amount of time that it has taken to sort out this lengthy lawsuits that have been brought against the city and the amount of valuable taxpayer dollars that have been used to fight these frivolous lawsuits. Valuable tax dollars that could have been used to improve our community and economic vitality. The downtown Livermore apartment should have been built long ago, and there is an even greater need for affordable housing for Livermore's workforce and its families. This is an opportunity for you to reaffirm your support for this important development. Please follow staff's recommendation and vote in support of this project on item 7.1. Give us a show of strength and fortitude in support of this project that will make a difference for the workers in Livermore. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
The next speaker is Julie, followed by Carol Silva, followed by Nathan Tran.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. For those unaware, a referendum is a mechanism through which citizens are given the power to vote on a specific political or social issue. It allows the general public to voice their opinions and have a direct democratic impact on the outcome of an important decision. The purpose of referendums is to enhance democracy by ensuring that major decisions are not made solely by elected representatives, but are subject to the will of the people. When this city council ignores the will of the people, they disregard the basic foundations of our democracy. It's simple. When this city council ignores and denies the existence of a referendum brought on by the community, the city council makes it clear that Livermore belongs to them, not the people of Livermore. To be clear, I am in favor of Eden Housing, as many people are in this room and in this community. What I am not in favor of is allowing democracy to be devalued in our community. Ignoring a referendum today sends a clear message to Livermore residents that their voices simply don't matter. And any future referendums will be ignored as well. Why bother having a democracy in Livermore if the city council today sets precedent that a democracy does not matter to them? Thank you.
The next speaker is Carol Silva, followed by Nathan Tran, followed by Jan Brovant.
Good evening. I second Julie Wild's comments that she made, because if the city council and the city staff had gone ahead and went ahead and accepted the petition signatures and forwarded them on, we probably wouldn't have needed all this litigation. You know, it's so easy to like blame the other person, but really litigation is a result of the referendum not being accepted, the signatures not accepted, and that the voters were unable to vote. I'm going to go ahead and pursue what I was going to say, but if I have time, I'm going to comment about one of the previous speakers. On behalf of the over 6,000 voters who signed the referendum petition protesting the amended disposition development and loan agreement in 2022 and move Eden Housing, I urge the city council to not vote to readopt the amended DDLA for a second time. Move Eden Housing's attorneys at Paul Hastings submitted a letter to the city council this afternoon detailing the many reasons why it is not only premature to take action on this project, but also why the housing component of the project cannot be separated from the park component of the project. There is no valid reason why the city council should be considering the readoption less than 1 month before the Court of Appeal holds oral argument on last year's attempt to readopt the amended DDLA. The court's decision could impact how this project proceeds and whether the amended DDLA is appropriate given the referendum in 2022. This letter makes clear, even if the city council does not wait, separating the housing and park components of the project as the city proposes to do would allow Eden to proceed with the project without without a conclusive plan that open space would even be provided to the public in the future. There is still time for a better compromise that will be a win-win solution for all stakeholders. Please do not readopt this agreement. I guess my time is about up, so thank you.
The next speaker is Nathan Tran, followed by Jan Bravant, followed by Alan Burnham.
Good evening, Council. Mr. Mayor. So you might know me as many things. A proud child of housing a proud child of housing insecurity, a proud tenant of affordable housing. But tonight I'm here in my capacity as the policy advisor for Innovation Tri-Valley. We're a collaborative network of leaders in business, R&D, education, and government, all committed to advancing our region's economic potential. On behalf of ITV, I would like to respectfully urge the City Council to ratify, reaffirm, and readopt the DDLA with Eden Housing. For decades, the Tri-Valley has attracted one of America's most diverse and dynamic workforces. Together, we operate world-class restaurants, labs, factories, some of the most uniquely charming shops in our region, some of the best public services and public schools in the entire Bay Area, and so much more. Still, so many of these workers, be they doctors or chefs or teachers or first responders or maintenance workers, the whole range of our workforce has been struggling, and so many workers are leaving our region in droves. In the best case scenario, we're seeing folks commuting from across the Altamont, minimum 2 hours each way, to work in the Tri-Valley. But too often, too many of them are bringing their spending, their tax dollars, and their students to other regions and other states. That hurts our downtown businesses, that hurts our local schools, and that hurts our future as a community and as a region. We can turn things around. By adding 130 units of high-quality, low-cost housing, the downtown Livermore apartments will transform the lives of numerous Tri-Valley families, keeping in mind what Eden Housing is always saying about the wait list always just constantly being beyond capacity. We have the opportunity to bring in more students for our schools. We have the opportunity to bring in more customers for our shops, and we have the opportunity to go a long way towards addressing our region's acute housing needs. This project should have been built a long time ago, and yet Eden Housing remains committed to Livermore. They've upheld their reputation as a trustworthy and effective partner for every community that they serve. It's time for Livermore to uphold our reputation and bring this project home. Please accept staff's recommendation, and thank you for your time.
The next speaker is Jan Bravant, followed by Alan Burnham, followed by Carl Wente.
Mayor, City Council, I'm Jan Bravant. Haven't been up here in quite a while. A couple of quick things is, what do they now consider affordable for affordable housing? Because I know the price of everything's gone up. But what I'd actually like to talk about is I'd like to talk about another city, not Livermore exactly, but another city further south from here. It's a very cute little town. It has a lot of wineries. And in the middle of this town, it has an absolutely gorgeous park. They have nice big shade trees, not the little stumpy things. It has grass, it has walking paths, and it has a separate but inclusive area for children to play, slides, swings, etc. And on the, it takes up a whole block down there. And on the outskirts of that block, there are restaurants, there are wine tasting rooms, you know, where you don't have to go out to the wineries. You can taste there. There's shops, there's a lot of cute little shops, and it's very nice. And it's all within walking distance of downtowns. There's also hotels close by. Livermore could do that very easily if we had that large park. And a large park would also allow families to, you know, go downtown, or friends go downtown, have dinner at one of the mini restaurants, go hang out at the park for a little while, take a little stroll around while their dinner settles, and then meander on over to Bankhead. And it would be a lovely evening to be able to do something like that. So as you probably remember from before, I would prefer, I know we need affordable housing. I just prefer it in another location. The other thing is, tonight I've heard a lot of people talk about 130 affordable housing units, and I haven't been paying a lot of attention lately. But there also used to be 16 homeless housing units. Is that still in the 130, or is that additional, or is that gone? Do you know? I guess you guys can't answer. You guys have? Okay. Anyway, so that was all. Thank you. Just move Eden Housing someplace else. Yes, we need affordable housing.
The next speaker is Alan Burnham, followed by Carl Wente.
Good evening, honorable council members. I first got involved in this back in the Trumark, Lennar meeting in the Shriners Hall. I think John's old enough to remember that.
The scars to prove it.
And there was an election, I don't know how many elections ago, where there was a question where your predecessor talked about, well, is there some way we could have a compromise? And a compromise was brought up by one of the earlier speakers. Now, some of you may not remember, this is actually the second design that Eden Housing brought forth. The first one went in the council. I was one of the people who said, this is not a good design, it needs to be reworked, and it was reworked, and it is much better now. However, I still think it's the footprint is 10 to 20% too large, and I wish that it could be reduced and make a slightly larger park. I talked to Linda Manalini about that a year ago, and she says, well, the problem is if you make any changes now, it restarts the clock on all the design, all the legal issues, which could mean that this is going to go on another 7 years. And I regret that those who opposed Eden Housing didn't work to maybe have a minor modification of the Eden plan that would have maybe had a little bit larger park, instead of focusing on trying to move the housing north of Railroad Avenue, where I happen to be one of the property owners. And so my biggest regret is, even though this plan is not perfect, I just don't believe that it will ever happen if it's not approved tonight. So I urge you to vote for this tonight, not because it's a perfect plan, but it's because if we're going to build it this century, we need to actually make some decisions and move on. Thank you very much.
The last speaker is Carl Wente.
Mayor, City Council, thank you again for what you do, staff, all y'all, the work, what goes into it. I'm in favor of this, passing this. Everybody with whom I speak, I'm not going to call it a statistical sample out there, but I have a lot of people saying, hey, where you been? Sorry, I haven't seen you lately. And keep up the good fight. You're speaking for a generation in a lot of regards. You guys put it on for a generation, right? You guys are sitting on a dais. So y'all listen, and we continue to be thoughtful about this. We have a three-piece stool, right? The legislative, executive, and judicial. And executive act versus administrative act, there's sort of parallels in there, and you're allowed to referend that legislative act, but not the other. So it's made it through the system, right? It did that dance, and you go to the judicial and you go through. Now, the well-funded, weaponized opposition, they know how to use that legislative system and delay, incredibly adept at throwing sand in the gears of the system. Michael Ferrucci, we're slow growthers. We want to slow everything down. I quoted you, Mr. Ferrucci, right? So the slow, like, what's the rush? Let's keep it going, right? You all know what it is. I hope this is unanimous because it really should be, because the facts have spoken and here we are. So I think, what is it? Article 2, Section 10 is the first one in the California State Constitution that brings up the referendum and initiative process. It is afforded to us by the California State Constitution. Lest we not forget, though, that the founding fathers were rightfully afraid of a pure democracy. We are a constitutional democratic republic, and that has its subtle differences. Pure democracy, whereby the 50.1 can repress the 49.9. No, we have a representative government meant to act on the will of the people, we hope, not just the whim of the people as it goes, not just loud voices, and not just whoever puts as much money in this dance. We've all seen those forms. Joan Sepula has put more money in Livermore than anybody else in the name of slowing things down. So we talked about what our generation wants. We also want the ongoing continued fiscal prudence, conservatism, and look at how well we're doing in comparison to our neighbors, and that's no small feat. So we care about the dollars and cents. We know what the delays have cost in blood, sweat, and tears, and hours, and things that could be done, the opportunity cost of us up here relitigating this and flowing it through. Those signatures were collected prima facie. They go through the system. You look at it, hey, administrative, legislative, the administrative, the courts it is dance. And we talk about collecting signatures. Those of you in the audience that collected actual signatures, hell yeah, I salute you. I won't forget the look of sadness in that signature that paid from out of town signature collector's eyes when I calmly explain the situation, that you're working against what you think you're working for. So lest we not be fooled.
That concludes public comment.
Okay, with that, we're going to close the public comment period and bring it back to the council. Comments, questions from the council? Okay, Councilmember Barrientos.
Okay, first off, can you hear me? Yeah, you can hear me. Okay. We're still in litigation, and I think we should table this until after the court decides. If the Stockman got their park, a park will be an attraction to people from out of the area, just like the Bankhead is. I think the park will be a destination too. We're saying, hey, Livermore's got to be a destination. Okay. The other thing is that it's been, scientists and doctors say that a park is a good place for people to soothe their minds and their hearts. And I think it'd be good to have a park right there where all the heavy duty businesses are going on right now. And the other thing is that 130 units, what would each unit for a couple cost? That's, no one said anything about it. What's going to cost? 30, 40, 50, $60,000. I don't know. No one said anything about it. We have a massive garage going up in there, and we're going to have 2 more massive 4-story buildings added to that. So, and yes, I did collect signatures for this thing. So I do have vested interest. So I'm wondering, should I recuse myself? Because I did collect 80 or 90 signatures for this thing. And so I think we should table it until after the court decides. And what if they go against what? And oh, wait a minute, before you go any further, I want to thank the staff. You're directed by the city council. This is not your plan, your idea. The idea came from here. And you did a swell job. You did a great job. So I appreciate what you're doing, even though I'm going to vote against it. But it's on principle. I'm not going to change my mind.
Okay, Councilmember Dunbar, questions, comments?
I don't have a lot to say. We've been here many times before. I've seen this on Planning Commission. I'm not going to go after anybody on any side. The administrative record is very clear. It's laid out in extreme detail. We've been through this before, and we'll be supportive of the recommendation.
Councilmember Wong.
When we talk about Eden housing, people talk like there's a choice between having a park downtown or housing downtown. There is housing downtown. There are parks downtown. There are pocket parks all over the city. There are big parks all over the city. I don't go downtown when I want to go to a park. In the 7 years that this has been held up, 130 households could have been living there. Actually, I guess since 2023. And it's so, we can sit here and debate all day how to make the perfect housing complex and to have it be placed in the most perfect spot. There's no perfection. We need the 130 units of affordable housing 7 years ago. We just can't wait anymore. And I'm so grateful to Eden Housing for their patience, their fortitude in sticking with Livermore through all this, because you could have walked, and I'm so glad you haven't. But one of the biggest problems with the holdup is that every day this project costs more. To build this unit now is going to cost so much more than it would have cost 7 years ago. And you can say that you support affordable housing. You just didn't want it there. You want it across the street. You want all the different reasons that you don't support this particular project. But in the end, what you're doing is delaying much needed affordable housing. And it's, to me, it's unconscionable. And so I'm absolutely voting a strong yes on this project.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been working on this for 7 years. This is one of the reasons that I came back, is for Eden Housing. Just want to correct a couple of things. One of the speakers tonight, Julie, spoke to this council ignored the will of the people. Let me read the line from the referendum. The referendum clearly stated, "We request that the legislative acts contained in said resolution be entirely repealed by the city council." And that is exactly what the city council did. The city council has a choice to either put it on the ballot or repeal the action. And what the signatories, what the resolution or the referendum said was to repeal the legislative acts in that resolution. And that's exactly what the city council did. So why spend $500,000 on an election when you actually got what you wanted already? There's no need to go to an election. And as far as separating the two, it was the courts. The courts separated Eden Housing from the park. They determined that the park was legislative, but the Eden Housing agreement, that was administrative. So it was the courts that separated that. And how disingenuous the comments that, well, just move it, move those people that we don't want to run into when we're downtown. Let's move them somewhere else. Nobody suggested where. Oh, across the street somewhere, across the railroad tracks. That land's not for sale. Oh, I'm sure we could do eminent domain, and we could drag this out for another 10 years. And again, increase the costs over and over until maybe it gets so expensive that they can't build it, and those people won't be allowed in our community. No, that's not what this is about. I've heard somebody mentioned this huge garage. I'm sorry. The number one criteria that we heard from the people, what the people of Livermore wanted, they wanted more parking in the downtown. We heard that over and over again. The number two priority was town character. And that's why we see the wonderful expansion of Blacksmith Square, because that's town character. Oh, by the way, the people behind this referendum wanted to have Blacksmith Square torn down in order to make room for their project. But fortunately, that didn't happen. People talk about this huge park that they want. Remember, most of the people that were supporting this referendum favored a 10-story theater on this very site. No park, it was a 10-story theater. That was the plan. And then it turned out that the community didn't want that, and the redevelopment agency ultimately took it away. we keep hearing about this, listen to the people. Oh, and by the way, the park that was described earlier, that wonderful bucolic park surrounded by the shops and the wineries and the like, that was dedicated in 1896. And that's been a park ever since. What we're talking about here is we're talking about urban land that was originally a shopping center. It was a strip mall. And we are converting a strip mall in the heart of our downtown. And we're putting all of the 10 requirements, and those included housing, it included a park, it included parking, it included all of those things. And that's why we had a series of public hearings so that we could find out where the public wanted to put all of those amenities. And that's exactly what we did. After a whole bunch of public process, that's where we decided to put the items where we ultimately did. And I keep hearing this about, well, do what the public wants. Well, remember when Measure P was on the ballot to move the hotel, the voters came out 2-1 in favor of putting it where the city originally planned. Now, the last 2 times that we've had a conversation about this in these very chambers, somebody alluded to it tonight. It was 83 comments in favor to 13 against. Tonight, we're 27-5. So the last one was 6-1. This is 5-1. The Measure P election was 2-1. So I'm sorry, overwhelmingly in multiple elections and multiple public hearings, the public is in favor of this and continues to be in favor of it. And I absolutely support this. I was kind of amused when one of the speakers brought up about the 8,000 signatures that were gathered. Yeah, but everybody forgot about the 9,000 signatures that were gathered in 2020. And the city council put that downtown initiative on the ballot. And the people behind this referendum of which you speak had it pulled off the ballot after the city council put it on the ballot. And out of those 9,000 signatories, there was not one person that complained because they were denied their right to vote. The city council put it on the ballot and they took it off. Just like you didn't have to vote on this because the city council repealed what the courts ruled were the administrative actions, the legislative actions. We repealed the administrative actions because the court separated the legislative from the administrative. And the only thing that was legislative was the park. And what we're doing tonight is we're reaffirming what the court identified as administrative. And that's the action that I'm going to support tonight. Vice Mayor, take it away.
All right. Honestly, I don't have that much to add after my fellow council members. I really appreciate what they said. I want to just give a couple of just thoughts for everyone in the audience. So this has been something that we've been working on for a long time. It's something near and dear to my heart, as most of you know. It's I started my political journey, I guess you could call it, but I started in the Human Services Commission. I started on the Public Health Commission for Alameda County. My advocacy work has always been for providing people with, comfort and opportunity. Eden has been a fabulous partner along the way, sticking with us through a lot of trying times. And it causes me a great deal of pain to hear people speak out against affordable housing. This is a beautiful project. This is a much needed housing units for people who are working in our city, who are helping provide the services we need, who are educating our kids, who really do want to be in Livermore and serve our community. I hear spurious arguments like, well, what does affordable housing cost? It's formulaic. You can look it up. Anyone can. For rental units, it's 30% of your income. So I can't give you a number. I can't say, oh, it's going to cost X number of dollars, but if you're making $30,000 a year, it would be roughly $10,000 a year. I believe those are the numbers. Yep, close enough. So you can find out, what it'll cost for different income levels. You can look up the charts, you can look up the graphs. The cost of housing is ever increasing. The cost of construction is ever increasing. It's making the project more difficult as time passes. And I really do want to address something that, I'm hoping I don't see Jason lean forward for this, but as we go through this, we've had a state that put forth laws, rules, and recommendations to try to encourage housing to be built. We've had a city council that has tried to put forward housing to be built in our city. We've had the voters affirm candidates who would like to build housing in our city and provide for our most needy residents. And unfortunately, the courts have lagged behind in keeping up with the laws that the state has put forward, with the actions that the council has taken in good faith. And the courts has left us in a situation where we are trying to do what we are asked. We are trying to provide for those most in need, and we can't. And so, as this gets played, I ask the courts to consider the intent as well. Along the way in this process, which I've been following very closely for a decade or more now, every step along the way, opponents of the housing have come forward and said, here's something we'd really like to see. And every step along the way, staff and council has considered those options and tried to incorporate them to the best of our ability. Every time, every request, we've done all we can to accommodate the requests that have come from everyone in the city. When requests came in for a larger park, the park got larger. When we were looking for additional parking, we found additional parking. The goalpost keeps moving on us. And when the goalpost keeps moving, it's hard to believe that we're dealing with serious actors. It's hard to believe that people are coming here and saying, I oppose this project. No, I support affordable housing, just not quite like this. And so we make the tweaks, we make the changes, we listen to you, and then you come back and say, oh, no, that wasn't what I meant. How about this? How do we please someone who keeps changing the target? How am I to believe that the goal is not simply to kill the project, to delay it and make it cost more? When we do what you ask, we're not thanked. We're told it wasn't enough. So just be honest with us. Just come up to us and say, I do not want affordable housing. Say it to me. Be genuine. If that's your goal, be honest. I've seen no evidence otherwise. So, what I ask, how do we move forward? I've heard constant insults to my city. I've heard people come up and say, if only you did this, we'd have a beautiful downtown. I'm sorry, we have a beautiful downtown. I argue we have the best downtown in the Tri-Valley. I think it's the best in the region. I love our downtown. You say there's no place for kids to play. We have multiple parks. We have multiple open space in our downtown. Our downtown is thriving. Our downtown sees tourists coming from all over the region to enjoy our restaurants, to enjoy our open space, to enjoy our community. Building housing will add to our downtown. When we have more people in our downtown, when we bring in the people who work, the people who contribute to our community, and we give them a prized location, we are honoring them. I am asking everyone to honor our workforce, to say they deserve a gem of a home, not a spot we can find somewhere on the outskirts. I want us to say, you are valued. And our council has reaffirmed time and time again, we value every resident. Every member of Livermore is welcome here. Every member of Livermore is loved. I want our community to embrace every newcomer, just as the community embraced me. And so, of course, I support this program, this project still. Of course, I approve of the DDLA. But I'm asking all of you to welcome our neighbors, to understand that we have listened to you. We have taken your input. This project has grown over time with you. And it has gotten better because of everyone's input. But it is no longer appropriate to continue spurious lawsuits just to try to delay. So I do hope we will have a 5-0 vote tonight, not just because it's the right thing to do, but because we want to honor our residents and we want to honor everyone working in Livermore. Thank you. With that, I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion made by Vice Mayor Branning. Is there a second?
I second.
Seconded by Councilmember Wong. Is there any discussion on the motion?
I move staff's recommendation.
Okay, is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
There's no abstentions. The resolution passes 4-1. That we're moving on to Councilmember report and matters initiated. Once again, thank you to the staff for a tremendous amount of work. And we're now going to go to item 8.0, committee reports. Councilmember Barrientos. Committee reports. We got your report out. Anything you wanted to highlight?
The only thing I'd like to add is that I belong to Asbury Church, and Sunday we stuffed 120 back to school bags with a lot of stuff that I've never thought of when I was a kid. Anyway, it was fun, and they're going to be distributed later on.
Very good. Thank you. Councilmember Dunbar.
I was at another wedding this weekend and failed to submit, so I'll do the 3 highlights, which were the CEI PACE opening in North Livermore. What a wonderful facility. It is an amazing social facility. I know many of us were all there, but shout out to that. Carolyn Lord's presentation about at the library with the wonderful art that she's done about the history of Livermore was a great show. And then I attended the grand opening of the new bike trail over Bollinger Canyon Road in San Ramon as well. Led a group out there. It was a good time, good street safety improvement in our neighbor's town. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Wong.
I'm just going to highlight 2 things. One is we had a quarterly meeting of the Altamont Landfill Open Space Committee, and which is a great committee because it is about preserving open space on the outsides of Livermore. And we get to give grants for conservation easements. So we approved 3 grants at this meeting. One is $800,000 to California Rangeland Trust for a conservation easement for Sweet Ridge Ranch. Another is a $25,000 grant to Tri-Valley Conservancy for its study, its East of Greenville Conservation Study, and $500,000 to Tri-Valley Conservancy for the Altamont Hills property, which we all used to call the Cross property. And so that was a very productive meeting. And then the second was I was able to invited to attend the Tri-Valley Nonprofit Alliance Award for their Tri-Valley Nonprofit Fund, where they gave out $30,000 in grants to our nonprofits. And it was a very moving and heartwarming event to see the nonprofits come together and get some much needed funding. It wasn't a lot because it was $30,000 divided between 11 nonprofits, but I think they all just needed positive news, no matter what it was, and just to even gather together in one place. So it was a privilege to be there to witness such a moving event. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Vice Mayor Branning.
Yeah, not too much to add. I was also at the Pace grand opening, which was really awesome for me because it was the first groundbreaking I ever went to. So that was a lot of fun to see it go from, an empty warehouse to an amazing looking facility. Other than that, it is that time of year. Of course, as a teacher, the main thing on my mind is the fact that we are all going back to school soon. So before our next meeting, all our kids will be back in school. All of my teachers will be working again. Most of them are in their classrooms right now getting prepared. So if you know some teachers, if you have any friends out there in the profession, if you notice they're a little bit stressed out, give them a high five, wish them well, buy them, dinner or something along those lines, because it is a exciting, stressful, hectic time in teacher land. So that's the main thing on my mind right now, and I'm excited to get back to teaching. Thanks.
Very good. Well, thank you. Let's see. I also went to the Pace Center for Elder Independence. Again, wonderful facility. It's absolutely beautiful. On Saturday, about 20 residents and I, including everything from adults to kids, we went out and we're cleaning up litter up by Las Positas and First Street. We had about 20 of us out there picking up litter and cleaning up our community. And then also later on Saturday, we had the opening ceremonies for the Little League World Series, Little League Intermediate World Series. What a great bunch. We've got young people from all over the world, Australia, Venezuela, South Korea, Canada, all in Mexico. And of course, Danville, District 57 is the host. So looking forward to seeing some great baseball down at Max Baer Park. I suggest you guys get down there and take a look. It's a lot of fun, and ESPN will be carrying that again this next weekend. So, go for it.
I have one other event coming up for everyone, which is National Night Out is the first Tuesday of August. So it's next week. So check out if you have any neighbors hosting an event, if there's anything going on. It's a lot of fun. So get out, meet your neighbors, go to a National Night Out event.
August 5th from about 5:30 to 8:30.
Around there.
Yeah. So great. National Night Out. And with that.
Mr. Mayor, before you adjourn, a word from your city manager, if I may.
Yes, absolutely.
So tonight officially is Jason Alcala's last regular city council meeting. While we have a couple of meetings in August, they mostly will have closed session items. So tonight is the official regular city council meeting that Jason is going to be participating in. As you know, he is retiring after 2 decades of dedicated service to the city. So on behalf of the city council and the executive team, just want to take a moment to thank Jason for dedication. And before you speak, his lovely wife is in the audience as well. Thank you for being here.
All right. Thank you. That was unexpected. This is indeed my last regular meeting before the city council. It has been a distinct honor and privilege to serve you and the community as city attorney. When I joined the city in 2004, I was looking for a city that I could dedicate myself to and that would dedicate itself to me and my family. That's a mutual need has been satisfied. I believe I was the right attorney at the right time for this city. I believe Livermore is better for my public service, and I will say that I am better for having served Livermore. Thank you for that, and back to business.
So you were hired onto the city a year before I was. And I'll tell you, it has been a remarkable ride. There have been some difficult battles that we've engaged in here. And I always appreciated the fact that your motto was basically just tell me where we need to go and I'll try to find a way to get you there. But I always appreciated your integrity and your passion for this community. So thank you for the many years of service, better than 20 years, and it's sincerely appreciated, and wish you and Tiffany all the best as you continue on this next chapter of your life. Thank you very much. And with that, we'll adjourn to a special closed session meeting on August 4th, 5 p.m. Right here.